Well, welcome back. I'm not even sure what this video is going to be called at this point in time. Mostly because I don't know what the hell we're even going to be doing. So the subject on this multi-part video is this beast. It's a 1950 Chevy Deluxe, Styline Deluxe. Inline 6-cylinder, 3 in the tree. There's a video out there someplace showing me doing a double pot master cylinder on it, just to make it stop. I wasn't sure what to do with it then. Still not sure what I'm gonna do with it, but that worked. It does stop, and I did putz it around a little bit, but never did anything else with it. But now it's time. It's been collecting enough dust and probably rust and mice that we might as well start doing something with it. The theory at this point is kind of a straight freak look, you know, front end high, back end high, stupid paint graphic thingies, too fat of tires on it, but that's all I know at this point. I don't know if it's even going to work, but we're going to try. Obviously, we won't know. You'll know what we're doing with it because the video will be done and it's going to be published, and it'll actually have a title, and we'll have a better answer then. Thoughts were a gasser at one time. Like I said, I don't know, but we need to get it up on the lift first. See what we're working with. Is there anything I could do? It's, you know, according to this channel's natural direction, it'll be cheap. It'll be on the cheap, but low on money, high on entertainment. That's this channel's theory. So let's get the thing up on the lift, and then we'll take a dig around it and kind of start putting together a direction. I actually did buy some parts. I'm not going to show them to you yet because I don't even know if it's going to work. But hang on. Let's get it up on the lift. All right, we got the turret up on the lift. We're analyzing at this point in time. Is this theory even possible? I don't know. Everything about this situation in my adult brain is screaming, no, idiot. This is a stupid idea. But then my 12-year-old inner child is like, hell yeah, do it. So we're going to continue moving forward. So I've done some this is a torque tube vehicle. Yep, I should be cutting that rear axle out of there, cutting that drivetrain out of there, throwing it in the garbage, putting a whatever small block Chevy LS, big block, something in there, and a 10 bolt, 14 bolt or something. But we can do that? Nope, absolutely not. We're going to retain the stock rear differential, torque tube, 3-speed manual, and the 235 6-cylinder for now. But first and foremost, we need to see if this is even, how far I can drop the back of this down, hence raise the back of the vehicle up. Now we got the ball socket jointy thingy jobber torque tubey thingy right there, which obviously allows me pivot on the rear suspension. But I don't know how much it's going to let me drop the back axle. So, first things first. Shocks are gone. Brake line gone. And then I'm just going to undo Get out back here. Undo the rear leaf shackles. Okay. And then we can use the Jackie McJack here and start dropping the rear axle down and keep an eye on, you know, the torque tube up there and see how far we can go. Obviously there's a U-joint in there. Suspecting it could take quite a bit, but you know, I don't know. I guess we'll get it dropped down, maybe put a socket in the front of the crank, put it in gear and spin it around and make sure there's no binding in the joints, but that's later. Also, I set a Roachdale Keystone Classics on it, but anyways, those are just, I don't know, they may stay on it, I don't know, but whatever. I used a string here with a line to center ourselves where they're at right now. I mean, it's probably not actually centered right because the car's whatever 900 years old and probably all benty twisty, but that gives me an idea where it's at right now. Obviously when it drops it may swing one way or another, but after I thought about it, I don't think it's going to move much, but who the hell knows. So let's get this undone, get this rear end starting to sag down, hang down a little bit, and see how high we can get the back of the vehicle up. Now, why are we starting back here? The front is going to be a whole different story. Okay, you guys see front suspension up there. Just what may or may not be in the future involves that axle. So that's going to be a lot of work. So I want to make sure that I can even get the back end up high enough to make this work out right before I even start cutting the front of the car off. Because once that's done, then stuck on the lift for the next 14 years. So let's get this done. Let's get some rusty, shitty bolts taken off and get this thing taken apart. All right, whether or not, if this project works out, it will not be the most unbelievable thing that's happened during this project. Most unbelievable the shackles came right off. Every bolt came off and the shackles came out. Do you have any idea how amazing that is? Can't believe it myself. Anyways, I've drooped it down. So even with a big meaty fat tire on here, plenty of room. So yes, we can, the answer is we can drop the back of the thing quite a bit and still have plenty of ball, socket, whatever torque tube thingy's going on there. So with that being said, I still can't believe it. Those shackles came off. I can't believe the bolt came off. I can't believe, that's amazing. Anyways, with that occurring, now we can move forward with the not so fun part of this, which is U-bolts off and we take the axle out, because we're going to have to take, let's go over to the other side of it here. We're going to have to cut this bracket loose, obviously, and flip it over so it's on top, because now the axle, we want the axle under the leaf spring. So we're doing a flip over axle flip leaf spring thingy job with this, which shouldn't be too difficult. A little bit of grinding, flip it over, get it lined back up, put it all back together again, get the pinion thingy angle right, blah blah blah, get the shackles back on and re-tack these into place and weld them back up. So in theory the back should be done very quickly, very quickly, very quickly. And then we need to undo the emergency brake thing, cable stuff. So anyways, that's where we're at. Let's start undoing the rest of this crap. Obviously the rear axle's out of the car now, on the bench. It's icky, so kind of in the process of cleaning stuff up, but like I had mentioned, I gotta grind these brackets off. And it's gonna be a little tough to get to with the backing plate, so I thought, oh, I'll just take the 4 bolts off, holding the axle and bearing carrier and backing plate on, and then I can easily get that out of there, grind those off. Nope, they're actually rivets, which is interesting. So I'm assuming, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, you'll never see this, but yeah, you will. I thought, well, it's a 10 bolt, maybe it's got C-clips on the axle. Nope. So it looks like it's bearing carried, but there's rivets holding this plate together. So I'm in the process of drilling and removing them. But I got to thinking, that means that there's a wheel bearing, I'm assuming, right there. These have never been changed out. That's pretty good. You know, for... I'm starting to get it loose, so that's pretty impressive that those wheel bearings have not been changed yet. I could be wrong, but I don't see any way of getting this out of here. Unless it's just some sort of snap deal or something. Oh, what the fuck? What the hell just happened there? What went click and fell out? Oh, it is clipped. Ha! All right. Well, regardless, I still have to get the I just didn't see the C-clips are buried in there. I still have to get the backing plates off to cut the pads loose. So I'll continue on with drilling up pomfrets as I learn with you guys about 50s GM axles. Probably should just watch a YouTube video, but cool. I'm gonna wiggle the other side out and get that clip out of there and pull the axles on the thing, and then we'll get a little bit easier. Then I can just drill out grind these out easier and push the rivets out the other side. All right, more making noise and making messes. Be back shortly once it's apart. All right, not a horrible deal. Got one of the pedestals cut off and got the backing plates off. They're all soaking. This is gonna soak too. I'm gonna have to get that bolt and that pivot out of there, I'm assuming, and get this cleaned up, but I'll go throw this in the old super clean and let it soak for a day. Then we'll have to do the other side over there. Wasn't as horrible as I thought it was gonna be, with the advantage of spark machines and then air chisels. You're able to get the thing out of there. So we will continue on cleansing this thing. All right, almost forgot to record stuff. So here we are. So we've got the pads cut loose, obviously cleaned up, flipped over on the leaf springs. So now instead of being on top, they're underneath, thus jacking the back of the vehicle up. We started lining things up, back up, using, I guess, the body as that's the reference point. It's probably not the most ideal, but when you're dealing with old turds and nothing's perfectly straight, we're only after the appearance. So I'm gonna tack. It's kind of where I want it to be. So I'm going to tack this on both sides. So it stays put where I want it. Then I'll have to let it back down again and see how the wheel, see if you look here, we're over here, the wheel still needs to go back some, and it will when the spring collapses a little bit, but I expect I may have to re-drill the pad right here, re-drill the hole to get the back axle to slip back a little bit further on the leaf springs to get the tire and wheel lined up with the center of the well. Fully expected to do that, but first let's get the axle put into somewhat place, get it lowered on the ground, see where everything lands, and decide how much we have to move it. Got it? Got it. All right. Fire the welder up. All right, we'll call that a win. Pretty damn close. 1/8 of an inch off-ish, so I'm not going to mess with that. So I'm not going to repin that axle at all. So we'll call that good. Let me just button up this axle, and then we're going to move on to the front of this thing. Yay. This will be the easy part, and that took a couple days. This front end will be interesting. Alright, the back of the vehicle is done. Everything's welded up. Put the diff cover and differential back together again. New gaskets, new axle seals. The only thing we don't have is brakes right now because I need a longer brake line, but there's going to be some changes to the brake system anyways, so I'm not too worried about that. So, ta-da! Let's move on to the next challenge, which is going to be this end of it. I'm going to get some stuff set up and I'll bring it back and show you what we're going to do. Alright, let's take a gander at the front end here before we tear it apart, I guess. Get a game plan of some sort. One thing I do kind of think is cool is look at our centered steer section. So you got the steering box there, comes down a pivot point here, and I got 2 tie rod ends running up the center-ish out to the, so I don't have to do shit except for maybe modify this, I don't know, tie rod thingy, and get it bent down. Maybe, you know, do something like this to get it lower, obviously because the front to be higher, but I don't know, that's kind of cool. What I think what the plan will be is we've got these bolts holding the lower control arm on, obviously a loaded spring, which is always sketchy to deal with. So I think we'll just get a hydraulic jack, my transmission jack under my finger in here, underneath here, jack it up, undo the bolts and release it down, release the tension of the spring, pull the spring out, and then probably just pull the top spindle or lower or upper control arm bolts out and try pulling the whole thing out in one big unit. Sound like a plan? Yeah, it's probably not going to work, but we're going to try it anyways. Alright, we'll call that a success-ish. All the crap's off of it, obviously. The other spring made me a little bit nervous. It was kind of hung, so I actually put the car back on the ground and kind of undid that spring slowly and easy. Careful around those things, people. Oh, there's a lot of energy behind those springs. That's how you end up dead, so, or at least missing parts, body parts. So, anyways, they're all off. I got to get the control arms off here, but looks like the way these are laid out, that whole K-member has to come out to get those off, and everything's pretty worn and shot, so I think I'm just going to cut this crap loose. I was trying to save everything in case this whole thing doesn't work out, but let's commit. We'll lop this crap off of here, get it out of the way, and then we can start jigging stuff up and figuring out where the springs and the axle's going to end up. Do some marking, measuring, jigging. I don't know. We'll figure something out here. I'll bring it back once I kind of get things figured out. But yeah, let's start making and welding parts. All right. Got a bunch of crap out of the way. Took the front bumper off. Kind of did a little jigging, centering, wheel opening, drop down, level E shit going on. Kind of figure out where things are going to go. And then I clamped the springs to a piece of bar here, put them on the transmission jack, and kind of got things lined up where I think they should go, just to figure out what's going on. I'm thinking back here we'll build our shackle mount back here someplace, right? So I made sure that the back of the spring was kind of perched right there, because that's going to be kind of messy. Up front, you know, we could vab stuff together, but you can see we're offset. The frame is right about here. All right. We're thinking, here's the frame. Obviously the The front leaf spring mount's going to be outside the frame a little bit, so we're going to have to build a box thingy here, under here, something. I don't know yet what it's going to look like. I want to get some of these metal components out of the way, because I want a flat side here to actually do some, you know, build some brackets off of down here to start with. So I think I'll start with that. I'll lop this crap off, open an area up here, clean this all up on both sides so I got someplace to work on the side of the frame. This will all be welded up, so we can cut what we want and no worries. And then yeah, just have to be boxed in, and it's super, super obnoxiously strong. I'm kind of reaching a little bit as far as where the spring height is going to be. I'm thinking there the axle will be under the spring. Does do a little curve up, puts the center of spindle about here. That should be about right for heights. I think those are 1,500 pound springs. So I don't know. There's a little bit of guesswork here that may require some reworkage, but we'll see. But let's start getting this stuff cleaned up and get it ready for making some actual fabrication. Something like that, I guess. Yeah. So we'll just do the same thing on the other side. Now I've got a nice flat surface to, you know, weld into the, make a bracket to mount off of. All right, grind away. All right, these are kind of tacked into place now, where I want them to be orientation wise. So now I want to work on getting our rear shackle mount created. So let me go find some more metal and steels and stuff. We'll start piecing that back section together. All right, before I get too far ahead here, catch everybody up. Okay, we got our little shackle mounts tacked into place. We've got the outside shackle made. We're dealing with I think this is 1 3/4. This is 2 inch, I think. But anyways, we're going to have to build a kind of a type of a inner shackle. Obviously this is just tacked in also. I want to cap this a little bit and do some more bracing, strengthen it up. But yeah, we're definitely making ground here. This looks pretty damn good. Still, I don't know. Here's where the axle will be. I don't know. Should be high enough in the front, I think, to be interesting. But we'll play it by ear. I'm not going to get too crazy. I think I'm going to make sure these are tacked in pretty good. We're going to get the axle in. We still have to put that together. But I'll take you for that ride because that's going to be an interesting one. We'll get it in here with the spindles on it. Probably the rotors, and maybe even get to the extent of actually setting the car on the ground before we go too much further to make sure that the stance is right, because that's the critical piece. This car's a piece of shit. We're trying to make it look a little less like a piece of shit, so that stance is going to be critical. So I'll bring you back. I'm going to get the shackle, the bendy shackle built, and probably brace this stuff up. Trying to make sure it looks kind of cool, but it needs to be really strong. And I'll bring you back when that's done. And I think after that point, we'll move on to putting that front axle in together. So hang tight. All right, so we've got our shackle plates, or our U-bolt plates, axle plates in, milled down a little bit to fit the, you know, the U shape of our axle. Now I'm going to have to spend the next 4 years trying to square this up with this. And oddly enough, a 75-year-old car that's probably had the shit beat out of it for approximately 74 years isn't exactly the squarest thing on the planet. So we're going to do our best to get our, I guess, the spindle equal on both sides from the outside fender, so it looks kind of right. Make sure it gets kind of squared into the center of the fender, and then also, you know, point measure from here to each corner of the car to make sure we don't end up crab walking down the street. I may put a few more tacks in place. I'm not committing to this yet because we need to get it actually on the ground, on tires, spindles, to see what the stance is, because that's the important part, is how does it look cool and stupid, whatever we're going for here. So let me get this thing kind of squared away. Oh, I did get some work on my caster, and I'm sitting at about 3.5 degrees. I think ideal, off what I've read off the internet and alignment forums, is between 3 and 5 degree positive. Hell, I don't know. So that's what we're going to go for, because the internet's never wrong. Everything's true. So we'll stick with that. I'm pretty happy with that. So we'll leave that alone. But yeah, I'll get this whole thing squared up, get it tacked into place. Hard, heavy enough so that it's not going to go anyplace when I set it on the ground. But I'll bring you back, because we're going to have to actually start putting our disc brake conversion kit shit on this thing. At least get the spindle, kingpins, and rotors on it. Let me get this tacked up. I'll bring you back when that's done. Wish me luck. All right, spindles are on, both sides, thrust bearings in. We've got the spring perches, pads welded down solid and gusseted in. Happy with that. So now we're going to move on to working towards the steering. Obviously you got brakes, the disc brake, or the caliper brackets and stuff, but I want to get the steering arms on the thing so I can see where this is going to line up with the, as far as our steering arm is at. So hold on, let me grab some stuff and I'll bring you back in once I'm ready to start bolting stuff together. All right, rotors on, calipers on. Everything looks okay, but nothing's in its permanent state. It's all tight enough to test run around, which is what we're trying to do here. But I did get the steering hooked up. So here's the original steering pivot point. Obviously 2 of them there, one for right, one for left. So I put the drag link on. And then I just used the original, one of the original tie rods, and I actually took the, I don't know what you call this, the little army dealy for the steering joints off of the original car and bolted it onto this setup here. Works, turns, steers, seems pretty solid. So with that being said, I think this front end is functional enough to get it on the ground and power it up and move it. Oh, I did get, once again, I stole the shock mount off of the original setup. And I didn't bolt it in real or weld it up yet because I don't know where the alignment's going to be here once I get a shock on it. But anyways, yeah, so recycling, I'm green. I use parts off the old junk to make the new junk. All right, well, there you go. Got some bracing tubes here to keep the shackles from moving from side to side. Got some little gussities back here, keep it from going forward or back. So yep, very typical of my welding skills. Strong and ugly, kind of like me when it's the strong part. But it'll looks good. I like it actually. It's kind of thingy. So let's go ahead and get this turd back on the ground again, and let's see what she'll do. The only problem is test driving this is probably going to be not a thing. Let me show you why. There might be the first sign. That thing, that icky thing, because it seems like last night that happened. I don't like it either. So we'll pull it out, but I don't know how much. We're not going to be able to drive it too much. Maybe back it up a little bit and pull forward. So let's get it on the ground and see what she looks like. Well, it's getting a little dark out, and you've seen those tires are not for snow. But it moved. I was have to wait some time here to things to get cleared up a little before I can putz it around the yard. But there you go. It's got a good look. I like the stance. Those tires will not be the ones that'll be on it. It'll be a larger tire, 15-inch wheel, I believe. I'll probably stick with the 14s up front, but it'll probably be a different wheel combination, but something old school like that. So there you go. Stage one of this build is really about getting the stance right, which I'm happy with it. It's got a straight axle in it. I'm happy with that. What's next? I don't know. Got to deal with this white shit for a little while, but I'm thinking brakes now for sure, which will involve some stuff, but we'll get into that when we get a chance. The car's obviously got a long ways to go, but we'll pick at it slowly and surely, and we'll get it done. But keep building things, keep breaking things. We'll see you in the shop real soon. Thanks for watching.